Well, a possible halt to the partial sale of state-owned assets kicks off this morning as the Waitangi Tribunal hears claims that Maori have special rights to freshwater and geothermal assets. Prime Minister John Key joins us now.
Morning, Tony.
Thanks for coming in, and it was a late one for you,
was,
getting back from Australia.
Yeah, indeed.
Do you expect to come out of this Waitangi Tribunal a delay in this whole asset sale process?
Well, I hope not. So the Maori Council have taken a case to the Waitangi Tribunal. The Waitangi Tribunal's rulings are not binding on the government, so we could choose to ignore whatever findings they might have. I'm not saying we would, but we could. But I think there's a next legal step that could then be taken. So they could potentially go to the High Court, I think, and try and hear a case. Now, the basis of the claim from the Maori Council is that Maori own the water, and the government rejects that view. We don't believe anybody owns water. What we do accept is that people own water rights, and we don't think the sale of 49% of Mighty River Power in any way impinges on those water rights. We think that that situation has been well and truly dealt with by the government, so there's no merit to that case. We've dealt with that through the Land and Water Forum.
So how will you decide on that? If this tribunal comes back that yes, they do think they've got a genuine claim, how will you decide then whether to ignore it or take it on board?
Well, I guess in the first instance we'll get a legal opinion on what the Waitangi Tribunal actually come out and say, so we'll obviously go back and look through that. But our lawyers are arguing the case, or will argue the case very strongly. I mean, we have been in a position for a long time now, we've dealt with a lot of interested parties. So the Land and Water Forum is a collection of well over 30 interested parties in the use of water. So that includes federated farmers, it'll include forest and bird, be a range of different people. Maori are part of all of that, and we certainly accept their legitimate right to be at the table, and we accept that they have a great passion and care for the rivers and the quality of rivers. But the concept that someone owns water, we think is not correct. And anyway, Mighty River Power and the sale of 49% of their shares makes no difference in terms of their existing water rights.
Is it a concern for you if this was to go through? Because obviously there are a lot of Māori that think they do have a genuine claim here. What will that do for Māori relations? Is that a concern for you?
Well, the interesting thing is there's a mixture of views. One group is the Maori Council, and that was established by an Act of Parliament back in the 60s from memory. There's also the iwi leaders, so in every individual iwi there's a sort of a representative head, if you like, and they all have a variety of different views. So some Maori want to buy shares in Mighty River Power, and their view is that the government's addressed those issues of water, and anyway there's a different forum for doing that. Maori Council is taking a slightly different view. So it's a little bit like saying all Pākehā agree on an issue, they never do.
Interesting, Manu Paul told Marae Investigates that he says if it does all happen, overnight shares will halve. What do you say to that?
Well, I can't comment on the value of shares. I mean, in the end, I'm not permitted by the law to actually give a view on that. But all I can say is there is no basis to the claim that Maori own water. They have a legitimate right. They have historically always had a connection with the river, and they care passionately about the quality of that, and we work with them. And they, for instance, if you look at the Waikato River, there's a joint river management plan there that operates, and all of those things. And the government addresses those genuine rights that Maori have through a variety of different mechanisms. But whether Mighty River Power is 100% owned by the government or 51% owned doesn't alter the 30-year water rights, for instance, they might have on their particular river assets.
OK, we'll move on.
Okay.
This minimum pricing of alcohol.
Yeah.
Now, Peter Dunn came out yesterday on Q&A and he called it elitist to even consider that. Is that the view that you share?
Well, I share the view it won't really work as well as people say it would. So there's a range of different views on what minimum pricing might be, but some people, and there's a guy arguing in the Herald this morning, that it's about the minimum price you can pay for a unit of alcohol. So a bottle of wine has 7.7 standard drinks as a general rule, and so they're saying, well, that would set the minimum price. Say you said it's, I don't know, $1.50 per unit of alcohol standard drink, that would mean you couldn't buy a bottle of wine for under $10 something. I mean, the point here is that what people are likely to do is trade, therefore, price with quality. So, of course, you can go into the supermarket at the moment, buy a bottle of wine for $8. We can force that to mean that the lowest price bottle of wine you can have is 10. Will it really change much? Maybe at the margins a bit, but people, instead of buying some $9 stuff and some $13 wine, will end up up just trading it and buying all of it at 11, which would be less good quality.
Cheap booze is still an issue, though, isn't it, for binge drinkers? So how do you get around that if you keep the prices the same?
Well, I mean, that is a genuine issue, but I think it's important to understand, particularly young people, as we were focusing on the starting point, what they're doing. So they do go along to the supermarket and they do buy cheap booze and they do get completely laced up, and then they go out to a bar late at night and have 1 or 2 drinks. And that's because they're paying, $1 versus $8. But no one's really arguing in this minimum pricing debate they're going to turn a drink in the supermarket into $8. What they're saying is that very sort of cheap alcohol would move up a little bit in price. And I think that would affect low-income people quite a bit, who might say, look, I don't have a lot of money, but I've got $8 for a bottle of wine. Isn't necessarily going to stop, I don't think, young people. And it's one of those things, it's like the RTD debate. I mean, we've been looking at that whole issue, but you just got to be careful what you do in that whole debate, because you can end up in a situation where youngsters stop drinking RTDs, they move back into buying the 40-ounce bottles of vodka, mixing it themselves. Girls are more likely to have their drinks spiked. I mean, there's a lot of different issues there as well. So we're trying to work through a sensible outcome to all of this.
Which could take a while. Prime Minister John Key, thank you for joining us. I think Peter's got something quickly he wants to join in here today.
Yeah, just before
Sorry,
that's all right.
You hijacked me. Okay,
just before the commercial break, about a month or so ago, Prime Minister, you very kindly put yourself up as an auction item for somebody to play 9 holes of golf with you. So this is just a certificate of appreciation from the First Tee organisation. I think we raised a few $1,000s courtesy of Mr Rod Duke from Briscoe's, who is going to be in touch with you for 9 holes at some stage in the future.
Okay. How did the 9 holes go?
Oh, they're going to play it soon.
You haven't played? Okay, you have to report back.
Have the certificate, frame it, put it on the office wall, please.
Very good.
The pressure's on now.
Pressure's on. I better not duff my shot. Better do better than Andy Murray did. Yes. I wanted Andy Murray to win.
Channel Federer, okay?
Yeah, no, I didn't want Federer to win. He's already won 6 before this one. Andy Murray, this is his lifetime of dream,
Shattered.
Shattered.
Right before the Olympics.
Yeah, no, it's terrible.